Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to learn how to knit this market bag, and I've seen quite a few of these, but most of them are crochet and I'm not that confident with the crochet, so I just decided to find some nice yarn and give it a go, and this is what I came up with. And as you can see, it's kind of like a top down bag. You start with some ribbing, and as you can see here I've done a few rows of ribbing. Then the pattern is stockinette, yarn overs, stockinette, yarn overs, and you keep doing that, and at the end it's a garter stitch decrease section that closes in with just knitted together all around, and then you get all the stitches like this. It's got I-cord straps. Obviously you could make them, if you want, you could do leather straps on it if you want a fancier one, or you could just do garter stitch straps like I did in the baby dress. I'll show you the baby dress that I'm talking about. So you could do straps like this. The only thing about doing garter stitch straps is that they're going to stretch quite a bit. Now, obviously, you have to bear in mind, if you're doing that, these don't stretch as much. But if you're doing garter stitch, they will stretch a bit more, so you might want to make them a bit shorter. To knit this, I used Knitcraft, this is Hobbycraft Return of the Mac, and this is chunky cotton, 100% cotton. It's got 81, what did I say? Yeah, it's got 81 meters per skein, 200 grams. The recommended needle size is 6 to 7 millimeters. I didn't stick to that, and I didn't stick to the gauge here because it's a bag, and its gauge is not that important because you don't want, I mean, obviously you're not going to make a triple sized bag, but mine is quite medium, I'd say. It stretches, it stretches quite a bit up like that, and wide as well. So if it's quite a lot of shopping, I will try to see if I can fill it up with some shopping and take a picture so I can insert it somewhere in the video for you to see what it looks like with shopping in. But yeah, it's got two straps, it fits perfectly on the shoulder. I think the straps, chunky like this, they kind of cushion your shoulder if you have heavy bag. If you stuff it a lot and it's quite heavy. They are attached to the ribbing here, and obviously weaving in the end is going to be a bit not complicated, but weaving cotton ends, you just have to weave them in very well so they don't come undone. The other things that you need, along with the wool, so you need, not the wool, you need the yarn, which is cotton yarn. 1.5 of these I think should be enough. You also need two sizes of needles. So you need very small, like a small size of needles, and then you need a big size needle. And the best way to go is with interchangeables. I have here 7 millimeter, which I'm going to use for the ribbing to give it a bit more structure. Obviously you don't have to, thinking about it again, you don't really have to do the ribbing with the small size. I guess if you do it with the bigger size, it's going to be like a lot stretchier here. It will be this stretchy, but I thought it's better if it's got quite a bit of structure at the top. So it kind of, if you stuff it in with shopping, it will go like a balloon size, like a bubble size shape, sorry, not size. So you need ginormous needles. These are 15 millimeters. They're knit pro platinas, and you just attach the cords to the ends, and I'll show you how to do that when we get to that point. You will need obviously the cord, a key to attach them. You also need stitch markers, and I have here two sizes because this stitch marker I'm using it with the small needles, and the big stitch marker I'm using it with the big needles. There you go. Scissors and DP ends would be good if you're doing the I cord, and these are very, very cheap. If you need bamboo DP ends, I went on Amazon and I think I paid like £3 for 12 sets of DP ends, all sizes. As you can see, they're not that good quality because this one is bended, but to do I cord for a little bit, then they work fine. So I keep them because they're very useful, and I don't work as much with DP ends, so I didn't want to invest in a set. All right, so in this section we're going to learn how to cast on and do the ribbing of the bag. All right, so once you've got your yarn and your needles and your stitch marker, we're ready to cast on, and we're going to work magic loop to start with. And you want to leave quite a long tail because this is chunky. As you can see, this is like braided yarn. This is chunky yarn, and you want to leave quite a long tail so you don't run out. And I'm going to cast on 40 stitches. So I'm going to make a slip knot, hold the yarn like this, twist, pull your thumb through and reach and pull through. That's a slip knot. And because I'm using such chunky yarn and such small needles, I'm going to cast on double needles in order to keep those stitches a bit loose to work the first row. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you need 40 of those, and I will see you when we're ready to start knitting. So once you finish the cast on, you're going to pull out one of your needles carefully, and then we're going to pull the corn roughly halfway. There we go. And you want to arrange your work with the bumps facing up. And this one twisted already, so you have to be very careful so it doesn't twist. So you see the bumps are facing up. Line your needles like this, and your working yarn is coming from the back needle, but you're going to start knitting the stitches on the front needle. So first, we're going to put the stitch marker here. Grab your working yarn and start knitting ribbing. So knit 1 per 1. So go through the front to knit, yarn in the front to pull, yarn in the back to knit, yarn in the front to pull. So we want to work 3 rounds of this ribbing. And then we're going to move on to the pattern. Let me just put this bag here so you can see what it looks like. And I'm going to speed up the ribbing, and I'll see you when we're changing the needle size. So we've done 3 rounds of ribbing, and now we're going to do 3 rounds of just knitting with these small needles, and after that we're going to change to the ginormous needles. And I have to say, it's not as easy to knit with the big needles, but it knits pretty quick, so you know, it's not like you're stuck with making this project for weeks. I've done it in a couple of hours, to be honest, because the needles are so big. And as you can see here, it looks quite small, but it stretches. Now we got to the point where we want to change the size of the needles, and you want to grab your chunky ones and the key, and if you're using Knit Pros, then this is how you do it. You want to change one needle to start with. I'll show you why, because our stitches are still on the small needle, which makes them a bit harder to work. We're going to start with one needle. And I'm telling you, it's gonna feel so much different to work with the giant ones. And they make a lot of noise because they're hollow. But all for a good, nice bag, isn't it? Put your big stitch marker on and knit one. Oh, let's take the small one off. Knit one round with the big needle, yeah? So we go like this. And like I said, if you don't have 2 size needles and you just have the big ones, you can knit it with the big ones. Can you see? It's so much different. Move on to the other side. And once you have the big needles working, then the work is gonna stretch and it's gonna go all over the cable, so you won't have to work magic loop. You just work in the round normally because the stitches will be accommodated on the cable. I will try to make a PDF, downloadable PDF for this as well, because I know that it's easier if you print the instructions out and you have them, and this video tutorial would be kind of like place where you need to come in case you get stuck with the instructions. Hopefully it's helpful to everyone. All right. Now, we're going to change this needle too. Where have I put my key? Here it is. So you won't be needing these small needles anymore, because the cables, the I-cord, I mean, not the cables, the I-cord, we're going to knit it with the DPMs. So attach your big needle on And now we're going to work the pattern. The pattern is very simple. It's 1 round pearls, 1 round knit together yarn over, repeat that, then another round of pearls. That's it. Very simple. Okay. So 1 round of pearl stitches, yarn in the front to pearl. Oh, it feels like you're working with ginormous coloring pencils, and it's quite loud. But I've knitted a whole blanket with these needles. That's why I bought them. I use them for We Are Knitters the wool, the big wool, for a big blanket, and it turned out so nice and it's so warm. I just realized that I mentioned you don't need these small needles, but you do, because the garter stitch at the bottom with the decreases, we're going to work them with that. Sorry about that. So the only part of the bag that we knit with the big needles are the pattern, which will make it stretch for the shopping to fit in. So the top and the bottom will be knitted with the 7mm. If you have 8mm, it's fine. It doesn't make a very big difference. The most important thing is that you have these big ones to knit the stretchy part of the bag. Okay, that's 1 round done. And now we're going to knit it together yarn over all the way to the end. So I find it simple to knit through the back loop with this ginormous needles. So just knit together yarn over, knit it together yarn over, knit it together yarn over, all the way around. All right. Ooh. Now the next row is parallel stitches. One, two. The yarn overs will look a bit like this, so just purl them. That's what it looks like. As you can see now, it's quite stretchy, and it will stretch the cable as well. So you want to repeat this. So 3 rounds of plain stockinette, then 3 rounds of this pearl, 1 pearl round, 1 knit together yarn over round, and another pearl round, and that forms the pattern. Repeat, and you want to do that 1, 2, 3, 4 times. It will be explained in the PDF. Oh. Oh, there we go. All right. Oh, it's very noisy, isn't it? So now we're going to continue this repeat. So 3 rows of, like I said, 3 rows of plain knitting, then the pattern. And do that 4 times, and I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to show you when we get to this point where we're going to start the decreases to make this square bottom garter stitch, which is quite solid because you're going to use your ends to weave them in as well, which makes it quite sturdy. But yeah, here's the bag. How stretchy is that? All right, I'll see you in a bit. Here we are about an hour later, and I've knitted this much. So I finished the lacy repeat 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we need to switch to the smaller needles, and the way we're going to do that, exactly the same as before. I'm going to start with 1 needle. So I'm going to take this one first off. There we go. Now I'm going to knit around using the small needle on my right and my small stitch marker, so I know where is the beginning of my round. So just knit 1 round, and then we're going to start that. Then we're going to knit a little bit more. I'll show you. Oh, it feels good to be back with the smaller needles, to be honest. All right, now we're going to switch this needle as well, and then we're going to knit 3 rounds of just plain knit stitches. So stockinette for 3 rounds, and then we start the decreases. All right, let's speed this up. Now we're ready to start the decreases, and we have 40 stitches, and we're going to start with knit 8. Oh, sorry, no, purl 8. So we're going to start working in garter stitch, which means purl a row, knit a row, purl a row, knit a row. So the first is going to be purl 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we're going to purl 2 together, and again purl 8, purl 2 together all the way to the end. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. Purl 2 together. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need to blue tag this. 7, 8. Purl 2 together all the way to the end. Here we go. All right. For the next round is just a plain round of knits, and the next round is going to be purl 7, purl 2 together, purl 7, purl 2 together, and we do that until we finish our stitches. And I'm going to speed this up. So now we're left with 8 stitches, and we're just going to go around and do a knit 2 together all around, which will split the stitches in half. So from 8 we're going to make 4 stitches. So knit 2 together, knit 2 together, knit 2 together, and knit 2 together. That's it. There you go. You want to cut your yarn, so leave quite a bit of a tail, because we need to do a very thorough weaving in. And I have this giant darning needle. I got this is a Clover brand. It's by Clover, and they are plastic. They come in a set with like 4 or 5 of them, but I like them because you can put quite chunky yarn through. Oops. And then what we want to do is put this yarn through the 4 stitches that we have left. So just pick it up. 1, 2. 3, 4. And we're just going to pull it closed. So just pull it closed. Can you see? It's closed. You can see the square. And now what we want to do is use this yarn to just go in and out the bottom around. And this is kind of like weaving in the end. And I'll show you the other trick I do just to double weave it in, kinda. So just keep going with all the yarn. It's kind of like weaving, isn't it? It doesn't have to be that tidy because it's the bottom of the bag, but it's good for it to be strong. So we're going to weave in all this. You see, it's already quite strong because it's kind of double threaded, isn't it? When you've got a bit left, you want to put the yarn through and go on the inside of the bag and just do a couple of knots. So I'm going to do a knot here. There it is. And split that one. Keep on weaving it. I'm going to do another knot here. And then okay, this is what we've got left, and what I do is I cut it about the centimeters away from the knot, and then I take just like normal thread, like sewing thread with a small needle, and I kind of stitch this to another one just to secure it. And this is our bag. The body of our bag is done. And now all we need to do is make the straps. So the way I made the straps on this one, as you can see, I put 2 straps from about this, with this distance in between, and then this strap will go around to this side of the bag, and then the back strap will go like this. Maybe this is easier to see. This is where I put the straps because I think it looks good, and if you put it too close to the middle, then the bag will just turn around, like spin around, because it's kind of like a bucket bag. So that's how I think it works best to do the handles. And let's see how we do these handles, yeah? So you will have thread left, quite a bit, and you want to leave a tail, and with one of your needles you want to go, so as you're holding your bed like this, you don't want to go in the first column or the second, you want to go in the third. So we're going to go in one of these V's. Can you see these V? I'm going to go in and I'm going to pull my yarn through. That's one. I'm going to go in the next V, pull my yarn through, next V, pull my yarn through, next V, pull my yarn through. So we have 4 stitches, and we're going to work I-cord on 4 stitches. Now most times I-cord is worked on 3 stitches. You could work it on 3 stitches, no problem. I just figured that 4 stitches is a bit sturdier for this bag. So for this you definitely need double pointed needles. After we've attached the yarn and knitted 4 this way, we're just gonna see our yarn is at the back. At this end, we're gonna slide the stitches to the beginning of the needle, and with a new needle, we're gonna bring this yarn from the back and we're gonna knit 4. 3, 4. And it takes a few rows in order to see the I-cord forming. Now remember, you've got this loose end that we need to weave in at the end, but just pull on it so it stays there secure and doesn't come undone. And again, the yarn is here. We're gonna bring it to this stitch and we're gonna knit all stitches again. Okay, let's try that again. And after you have like 5 or 6 rows done, then you'll be able to see the I-cord forming. It's kind of like a small tube. But it's a very sturdy one. And as you can see, on one end we attached it straight onto our bag, and on the other end we have to weave it in. And you just weave it in normally, stitch it to the other side of the bag, and then weave in the ends. And also use the thread, like the thin sewing thread and a sewing needle, to secure it's kind of like a rope yarn, to secure the rope yarn so the end doesn't come undone. But yeah, look, this is the I-cord. It looks the same all around. Now, like I said, if you don't want to do this kind of I-cord, you could just cast on 4 stitches and work garter stitch like a strap and then attach it to the ends. That will be a bit more stretchier and less sturdy. Also, you could make these straps as long as you want. If you want, you could make it a lot longer and use it as a crossbody bag, or you could make them shorter, maybe this short, and use them as a handbag. But I like this because it goes on your shoulder and it's a lot easier to carry. But yeah, that is the market bag. I don't have any other name for it. Maybe I should call it, I don't know. If I come up with a name by the time this video and this pattern goes up, then I will name it. If not, it will just be simply market bag. But yeah, I hope you like it. And please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.